Um, so to review for a minute, we are in the last two. We are rounding out the first chapter of Hilchos Yesodei Torah. Um, so last time on Monday, we talked about how there are various psukim that describe God and with various body parts, and he could do motions like humans do. But the Rambam was saying, not so fast. It's just a way for us to understand, to put it into our terms so that he could relate to us. And then in Halacha Yud, the Rambam described about how even Moshe, was close, but no cigar. He wanted to see God, what he looked like, and he saw his back, whatever that means. So for the next two halachas, the Rambam is going to just reiterate and go over and over and over that this is something that we just can't attain the understanding of what God looks like or anything to that effect. So we'll start Yud Aleph 11. The Kevan is bar she'ein gufu gvia yisparer. Right, and since I for the last four or five halachas have gone over the fact that there is no guf, right? He has no form. So if that's true, Yisbar shelo ye'erlo echad mamar sagufo. So therefore, he, doesn't have the body functions that we understand either. Lo chibur v'lo pirud. There are no parts that are connected to him, and there are no parts that are separated from him. Lo makom v'lo mida. He doesn't occupy, space at all. Lo aliyah v'lo yerida. He's not up. He's not down. Right? Lo yamin v'lo smol. Lo panim v'lo achor. Lo yeshiva v'lo amida. Right? If you're like invisible, then you could be everywhere and nowhere. You take up no room, and you don't have a right or left because right and left are all relative to a person's perception, right? So because God is imperceivable, if that's a word, then there's just nothing that we could describe him as. Ve'enu matsui bizman ad sheyelo reishis va'achris u'minyan shanim. And he is not bound by time. He goes, like in the movies, to the future and to the past, right? There's no concept of time, that time continuum that Albert Einstein is famous for talking about, or years, right? He doesn't age. He doesn't grow old. He's not alive, but he's not dead. That we perceive life to be. And he's not wise because that would connote something human-like, right? He's beyond wisdom. Lo shena v'lo hakitze, he's not sleeping, he's not awake. Lo kas v'lo schok v'lo simcha v'lo atzvos, he's not moody like people tend to get. V'lo shtika v'lo dibor kedibor b'nei adam, right? He doesn't have any characteristics like we have about speech. That's what our Chachamim said, that lamala, meaning up in the heavens, right? There's no sitting, there's no standing, right? There's no oref and lo ipui. There's no separation, right? And there's no ipui. Ipui means connection. So, like, when you picture like yourself, like in the movies where you're waiting online. What was that movie by George Burns? Oh God, right? So he's up there, and right, we're not waiting online like people wait online in a pizza shop. Like we have this, perception of what it means to stand and to wait and to see. It's a completely different experience that we just are completely removed from. Right? And the Rambam ends off by saying, almost like he did in the previous halachas, "V'hol v'hadavar kenu," since everything I've been telling you is true. Kol advarim halalu ki yotze behen shenemar b'Torah b'nivrei neviim hakol mashal u'malitzehen. So therefore, anytime it would say something metaphorical, that's exactly what it is. It's only for us to have a picture. Right, a pasuk in Tehillim, right, that he's sitting, right, the one who sits in the heavens, right, is laughing. We know that there's no laughter, and we know that there's no sitting, right? And it says ki asuni b'havloyim, right? This is from Hazinu, right, from the poetry at the end of Hazinu, where it says that they made me angry with their hevel, with their wasting of time. Or the pasuk kasher sas Hashem, that was in last week's parsha, kisavo in the Tochacha, right, all the way at the end, a few psukim before the end, chapter 28, verse 63, right? It says kasher sas Hashem, right, like God was happy, ukiyotzevahen, right? So again, it's and the Rambam is obviously repeating this. He said this a couple of halachas ago, right, where he said Etzba Elokim and Ozen Hashem and Yad Hashem. Again, when God is doing something that sounds humanistic, right, the Rambam is very, very quick to say, not so fast, right? We don't take it literally. But what do we say? Just like the Gemara uses the phrase to say that, well, we're not going to darshan anything from this word because it's just we like to repeat. Right, you can't darshan anything from an extra word that's repeated. It's called Dibra Torah Koloshon Bnei Adam. That's the way, right, people speak. So the Torah said, God is angry. Obviously, he doesn't get angry, but to us, for us to understand, we did something wrong. So all we understand is moods and reactions. So therefore, it's something that appeals to our ear, so we could understand better. Right, v'chenu omer, like the pasuk says in Yirmiyahu, ha'usi hen machisin. Right, they're making me very, very angry now. Harayu omer. So therefore, the pasuk says in Malachi, ani Hashem lo shanisi. Right, this is at the end of Malachi. I think this is in the Shabbos before Pesach. Right, this is the Hatorah of Hinei Anochi Sholech Lachem. Ani Hashem lo shanisi. Right, I didn't change, so that's what God is proclaiming. But if God was moody like people are, man, obviously one day you're happy, one day you're sad. But no, God says, right, from the Shabbos Hagadol Haftorah, Ani Hashem lo shanisi. All of these are human reactions that are found in human beings. Right, who dwell, right, the Rambam is very poetic as he ends off the first chapter. He says these are reactions from people who dwell in dark huts, right? Shochne bate chomer asher ba'afar yesodam, that have foundations made of dust, meaning clay, cement, right? It's like a chomer, right? It's like raw materials. Things that human beings put together. But God is elevated way, way, way over our heads in pretty much every facet to imagine. So that's why, that's why he's different. So that ends up the first chapter. Let's start the second chapter. Just a little bit. So now that we know, just to summarize, that there is one and only, and he is unfathomable, undescribable, undistinguishable, and omnipotent, and all the fancy SAT adjectives that we know, now what? So what is our commandment? So in chapter 2, he's going to discuss the mitzvah aseh of ahava and yira. Many, many, many books were written on those two words, Ahavas Hashem and Yiras Hashem. And anyone who's gone to Israel and have gone through the yeshiva system at one point in their life has probably picked up a Maharal or Mesilas Yesharim, the Ramchal, the Maharal, right? All of these Musar books, as we like to call them, focus in on this chapter, chapter 2 of Hilchos Yesodei Hatorah. So just to begin, it says, Ha'el hanichbad v'hanora hazeh, right? This great, coveted, glorious, right? One is a mitzvah lahava uliyira. It's a mitzvah to love God and to fear God. Sounds simple. Shenemar, a pasuk that is near and dear to us. V'ahavta Hashem Elokecha. That's one pasuk. Then the second pasuk is Hashem Elokecha Tira. Okay, that's also at the end of Va'eschanan. Okay, let us just do one more. So, okay, easier said than done. Right now we know that there's a mitzvah. So how do we attain this mitzvah? When a person realizes and thinks, right, deep thoughts that how great these maisim and creation, you look around, right, and you see the world and you appreciate everything that's in front of you, right, the wisdom, right, then it's almost like you have no choice but to immediately understand, and you'll love and you'll praise and you'll glorify God, because that's all you could do when you just look around and see what's going on. Kamosha Amar David, Tzama Nafshi L'Elokim L'Elchai, very famous pasuk that we say in Zmiras, that my soul thirsts for you, O God. And if you actually contemplate this and reflect on this, you'll like, oh man, you'll be like fearful. You'll like jump up from your seat. And you'll be scared. You realize that you are like a nothing. As they say in Yiddish, you're a gunisht. Right, you're a lowly, dark creature standing in front of a great God, right? Just like the pasuk in Tehillim says that when I see your shamayim, right, the works of your fingers, right? Ma enosh kitis karena, right? What are we? Right, we're nothing compared to you. I'm going to explain to you based on these concepts, right? Klals, right? Principles, great principles, right? From God. And this will open the door, right? In order to understand the love of God. Loving God is the first step, right, in recognizing that there is right, through that you could makir the Borei Ha'olam. You'll recognize who spoke and who created the world into being. All right, I guess we'll stop here. The next Rambams talk about